They are the largest of all turtles, and one of the heaviest reptiles in the world. Their lineage stretches back to the age of the dinosaurs, yet today their future feels perilously short. This is the leatherback turtle, a sea turtle, but with a drastically different story than all others alive today. They cross entire oceans, traveling from tropical beaches to the edges of the subarctic, where few reptiles could hope to survive. They dive deeper than any other turtle. They roam further. And they have done this for millions of years without interruption. And yet, they are now struggling to adapt to the rapidly changing modern world. So, what makes them so unique? How do they differ from other living turtles? And, perhaps most importantly, what can be done to help conserve them for future generations? If you'd like to learn more, check out the document in the description with research papers and image credits. Sea turtles are iconic reptiles of the ocean. Despite most turtles living in fresh water or on land, sea turtles are often the first group that comes to mind when we think of turtles. All turtles and tortoises belong to the order Testidunes. They are characterized by their highly distinctive shells. These shells are part of their bodies and are mostly made from bone, being comprised of highly modified and fused ribs, spine, and shoulder bones. The bone is covered in a layer of keratin, the same substance that is in fingernails or hair. While this is the general turtle body plan, as we will soon see, some species have a very different kind of shell. Living turtles are divided into two broad groups: Pleurodira, or the side-necked turtles, and Cryptodira, or the hidden-necked turtles. These branches represent a significant difference in evolution in turtles, which, as their common name suggests, is most clearly displayed by how they retract their neck into their shell. In side-necked turtles, they tuck their head to the side, leaving it partially exposed, a dangerous gambit when relying on their shell for protection. Hidden-necked turtles, on the other hand, retract their head and neck completely into their shell, leaving it far more protected. Sea turtles are in the hidden-necked group, so let's take a closer look at that branch. As a broad overview, there are four major branches of hidden-necked turtles. The first one is the soft-shell and pig-nosed turtles in Chelonioidea. Here you can already see some that deviate from the standard turtle shells that we looked at earlier, as they lack hard keratin, with the shell instead being covered in leathery skin. The next branch is Testidunoidea, a large group with the tortoises, terrapins, and pond and box turtles. This is the largest superfamily with over 170 living species found worldwide. Then we have the sea turtles in Chelonioidea, a group we will look at more closely in a minute. Finally, the closest relatives of the sea turtles are in Chelonioidea, which includes the snapping turtles, the critically endangered hecate, and the musk turtles. While sea turtles are the only fully marine turtles alive today, they were not the first turtles to take to the ocean. Throughout the Mesozoic era, several distinct lineages independently evolved marine lifestyles. These ancient experiments in turtle evolution reveal that life in the sea has been a recurring theme, one that evolution has explored, abandoned, and reinvented multiple times. Among the most impressive of these was Archelon, a giant of the late Cretaceous seas that grew over 4 meters long and weighed more than 2 tons. It had long, powerful flippers and a lightly built shell perfectly adapted for swimming. Yet it belonged to an entirely separate family, the Protostegydae, which vanished at the end of the Cretaceous. Other fossil species, such as Santana-Chelys gaffnei from Brazil, show transitional traits that mark the early steps towards marine life, including flipper-like limbs and salt glands near the eyes. The ancestors of modern sea turtles arose around the same time, diverging from their freshwater relatives roughly 100 million years ago. From this radiation came the lineage known as Chelonioidea, the only surviving branch of a once diverse array of marine turtles. With that deep history in mind, we can now zoom in on the one branch that successfully carried the marine lifestyle into the modern era, the sea turtles. There are only 7 living species, divided into 2 families. 6 belong to Cheloniidae, the green, hawksbill, loggerhead, Kemp's Ridley, olive ridley, and flatback turtles. The remaining one, the leatherback, Dermochelys coriacea, is placed in its own family, Dermochelioideae. Sea turtles have undergone extensive adaptations to life in the open ocean. Their limbs have evolved into powerful flippers, providing the strength and endurance needed for long-distance swimming. The forelimbs are especially large and paddle-shaped, generating most of the propulsion, while the smaller hind flippers act as rudders to steer and stabilize their movement through the water. Unlike land or freshwater turtles, their limbs are not suited to walking. Sea turtles are graceful in the water, but awkward and slow on land. Their bodies are streamlined, with a flattened shell and smooth hydrodynamic profile that reduces drag. In most species, their shell or carapace is the same bony and keratin-covered structure found in other turtles. This provides both protection and a rigid structure for powerful swimming strokes. The plastron, or underside of the shell, is lighter and more flexible, allowing for efficient movement through the water. Yet, these specializations come at a cost. Sea turtles cannot retract their head or limbs into their shells. The neck and limbs are permanently extended, adapted for swimming rather than defense. This makes them more vulnerable on land, but in the ocean, their size, speed, and agility provide the protection that other turtles rely on their shells for. The reduced need for retraction also allowed for a more streamlined body plan, further improving swimming efficiency. Sea turtles also show sensory and physiological adaptations to their marine lifestyles. Their large eyes are adapted for underwater vision, and salt glands located near the eyes excrete excess salt from seawater, often giving the appearance that the turtle is crying. Their lungs are highly efficient, enabling rapid gas exchange so they can replenish oxygen quickly at the surface between dives. Together, these adaptations make sea turtles among the most specialized reptiles for marine life, capable of traversing entire oceans. At first glance, a leatherback resembles a typical sea turtle. It has a broad, elongated body and large, powerful flippers. But a crucial difference is hinted at in the name: leatherback. Leatherbacks lack the hard, bony shell that characterizes all other sea turtles. Instead, the carapace is a thick, flexible layer of oily connective tissue, strengthened by a mosaic of tiny bones embedded within. This gives the surface a rubbery texture, unlike any other living turtle. Running along the carapace are 7 distinct longitudinal ridges, extending from the neck to the tail. These ridges help stabilize the turtle as it swims, channeling water flow along the body to reduce drag and improve hydrodynamic efficiency. They also provide structural reinforcement to the flexible shell, preventing it from deforming under the immense pressures encountered during deep dives. The species body plan reflects a long and separate evolutionary history. The leatherback diverged from the ancestors of the hard-shelled sea turtles more than 60 million years ago, forming its own family, Dermochelyidae. It is the only surviving representative of a lineage that once included several giant relatives, some of which lived alongside early whales. The leatherback's persistence makes it a living relic, preserving a body design that vanished in all other turtle groups. This soft shell may seem like a vulnerability, yet it offers remarkable advantages for life in the open ocean. Its flexibility allows the leatherback to withstand the crushing pressures of deep dives, while the lighter structure aids in buoyancy control. It also reduces drag, enabling the leatherback's smooth, almost effortless glide through the water. Buoyancy control is one of the most distinctive of the leatherback's adaptations. The soft, oily tissues that make up its carapace and body wall are less dense than seawater, granting natural lift and stability in the open ocean. This fatty layer, which also serves as insulation, functions somewhat like the blubber of marine mammals. Unlike hard-shelled turtles, which depend primarily on lung volume to regulate buoyancy, leatherbacks rely on a combination of body composition and respiratory adjustments. Before diving, they exhale much of the air from their lungs, reducing buoyancy and preventing lung collapse under pressure. As they ascend, the lungs reinflate, restoring positive buoyancy and allowing them to glide effortlessly toward the surface. This capacity for fine-tuned buoyancy control enables leatherbacks to dive repeatedly to great depths without expending excessive energy. These remarkable adaptations allow leatherbacks to routinely dive to depths exceeding 1,000 meters. Their collapsible lungs and flexible shell structure prevent barotrauma, the crushing damage caused by pressure changes while diving. While high concentrations of oxygen-binding proteins in their blood and muscles allow them to remain submerged for over an hour, leatherbacks are also the largest of all living turtles. Adults typically measure around 1.5 meters in shell length and can exceed half a ton in weight, though exceptional individuals have been recorded at over 900 kilograms. Their immense size, coupled with powerful front flippers reaching up to 3 meters across, makes them strong, endurance-based swimmers. These adaptations allow them to cross entire ocean basins, feeding in polar waters before returning to tropical beaches to nest. Thermoregulation is another key aspect of their biology. Unusually for a reptile, leatherbacks maintain body temperatures several degrees above the surrounding seawater. Their immense size gives them a low surface area to volume ratio, allowing them to retain heat generated by muscle activity, a process known as gigantothermy. This is enhanced by a network of countercurrent heat exchangers in their flippers, where warm blood flowing from the body's core transfers heat to cooler blood returning from the extremities. The thick layer of oil-saturated connective tissue also acts as insulation, slowing heat loss even in waters near freezing. These adaptations allow leatherbacks to forage in cold northern and southern waters that would be lethal to other sea turtles. The leatherback's extraordinary physiology supports an equally extraordinary way of life. Unlike other sea turtles, which often remain within warmer coastal or continental shelf regions, leatherbacks are truly pelagic, spending most of their lives in the open ocean. They are cosmopolitan in distribution, found in every ocean except the Arctic, and undertake some of the longest migrations known among reptiles. Adult leatherbacks follow broad, seasonally driven routes between tropical nesting beaches and distant foraging grounds in temperate or subpolar waters. In the Atlantic, individuals tagged in the Caribbean or West Africa have been tracked as far north as Newfoundland and Norway. Pacific populations show similar movements between Indonesia or Papua nesting beaches and feeding zones of Japan, California, and even New Zealand. These immense journeys, spanning tens of thousands of kilometers, are timed to coincide with the seasonal blooms of their primary prey. Leatherbacks are specialist predators of soft-bodied prey, feeding primarily on jellyfish and other gelatinous zooplankton. This diet might seem perilous given the venomous stings that deter most animals, but leatherbacks are remarkably well adapted to it. The inside of their mouth and throat are lined with backward-pointing keratinous spines, or papillae, which grip slippery prey while also forming a protective barrier against stings. These tissues are further coated in a layer of mucus that helps neutralize or wash away nematocysts before they can discharge. Even the external surfaces that might brush against tentacles are sheathed in thick, scale-like skin. Together, these adaptations render jellyfish stings effectively harmless, allowing the leatherback to exploit a food source few other large animals can safely consume. This diet, low in energy but abundant over vast oceans, demands constant travel. A single adult may consume hundreds of jellyfish per day, playing an important ecological role in controlling jellyfish populations. But how do leatherbacks find their way across vast and featureless expanses of ocean? Their success depends on a suite of refined sensory abilities. Their large eyes are adapted for low light vision, enabling them to hunt in the dim blue depths where jellyfish drift. They are also sensitive to ultraviolet light, useful for detecting the faint translucence of gelatinous prey against the dark background of the sea. Like other sea turtles, leatherbacks possess an acute sense of magnetoreception. They can detect variations in the Earth's magnetic field and use this information both for long-distance navigation and for pinpointing the beaches where they themselves hatched decades earlier. Research suggests that they imprint on the unique magnetic structure of their birthplace, allowing females to return with remarkable precision when it comes time to nest. Olfactory cues and ocean currents likely play supporting roles, guiding their final approach to specific feeding or nesting areas. Together, these sensory adaptations make the leatherback an unparalleled navigator, a reptile capable of crossing entire ocean basins with no visual landmarks to follow. The same physiological systems that enable deep diving and thermal endurance also support this nomadic existence, allowing the leatherback to exploit ecological niches unavailable to any other turtle. Leatherbacks, like all sea turtles, return to land only to reproduce. After years or even decades roaming the open ocean, adult females migrate thousands of kilometers to the beaches where they themselves hatched. These long-distance homing journeys are guided by a combination of magnetic and chemical cues, a precise navigation system that remains one of the great marvels of animal migration. When the time comes to nest, a female hauls her massive body onto the beach under the cover of darkness. It is an arduous process. She is built for the sea, not for land, and every movement is slow and exhausting. Using her hind flippers, she excavates a deep, flask-shaped chamber in the sand and deposits a clutch of around 80 to 100 eggs, each roughly the size of a billiard ball. She then carefully covers the nest, disguising it with sand, before returning to the ocean. Over the course of a nesting season, a single female may lay several clutches, separated by intervals of about 10 days, before departing to feed and recover for several years. The eggs incubate for around 2 months, their development influenced heavily by temperature. As with other reptiles, sex determination in leatherbacks is temperature dependent. Warmer sand produces mostly females. Cooler conditions yield males. This delicate balance means rising global temperatures threaten to skew sex ratios dramatically, an emerging concern for future population viability. When the hatchlings finally emerge, they face an almost impossible gauntlet. Guided by the natural light horizon over the sea, they scramble towards the surf, but many never make it. Ghost crabs, frigate birds, and other predators take heavy tolls on the beach, while fish and sharks wait offshore. Those few that survive their first day must still navigate the ocean, carried by currents to distant feeding grounds. Estimates suggest that fewer than 1 in 1,000 hatchlings survive to adulthood. For millions of years, leatherbacks thrived in the world's oceans, with little to threaten them beyond natural predators and chance. But in just the past few centuries, human activity has disrupted nearly every stage of their life cycle. The dangers that begin on the nesting beach now extend across the globe. Artificial lighting along coastlines confuses hatchlings, drawing them inland instead of toward the sea. Coastal developments and erosion have destroyed many of the beaches that once supported generations of nesting females. In some regions, illegal poaching continues, both for eggs, which are sold as delicacies, and for the turtles themselves. Often pregnant females are harpooned before they can lay their eggs, allowing poachers to retrieve them directly from the body, a much easier process than attempting to dig them up once they've been laid. This means they not only take the single clutch, but with killing the mother, they ensure she will never reproduce again. Even where poaching has decreased, hatchlings still face enormous natural mortality from birds, crabs, and fish, so every lost clutch significantly impacts population stability. Once hatchlings reach the ocean, new threats emerge. Bycatch in commercial fisheries is a major source of adult mortality. Leatherbacks are frequently caught in long lines, gill nets, and trawl nets, where they can drown if unable to reach the surface to breathe. Even abandoned ghost nets continue to entangle turtles, limiting movement, causing injury, and sometimes leading to death. Vessel strikes are another hazard, particularly in busy shipping lanes near migration corridors. Pollution presents a more insidious danger. Leatherbacks feed almost exclusively on jellyfish, and in doing so, they often mistake floating plastics for prey. Ingested plastic can obstruct the digestive system, reduce feeding efficiency, and in severe cases cause starvation. Chemical pollutants, including persistent organic compounds, accumulate in their tissues over time, potentially affecting reproductive success and immune function. Climate change compounds these threats. Rising global temperatures affect nesting beaches, not only by skewing the sex ratios of hatchlings, as we've already discussed, but also by increasing the risk of flooding from higher seas. Changes in ocean temperatures and currents may also shift jellyfish blooms, requiring leatherbacks to travel even further to reach sufficient food, increasing energy expenditure and risk of mortality. Because leatherbacks roam entire ocean basins, their conservation depends on international cooperation. They are listed under Appendix 1 of the Convention on the Conservation of Migratory Species, or CMS, and are also protected under CITES and the Inter-American Convention for the Protection of and Conservation of Sea Turtles. These agreements provide a legal framework for nations to work together, reducing bycatch, safeguarding nesting beaches, and monitoring migratory routes across country borders. Despite the many pressures they face, conservation efforts offer hope. Many key nesting beaches are now protected, with patrols and community programs reducing poaching and minimizing artificial lights. Fisheries have begun to adopt turtle-friendly practices, such as circle hooks and bycatch reduction devices, while scientific monitoring and satellite tracking help guide policy and public awareness. The success of these measures ultimately depends on sustained international collaboration and local commitment, but they show that recovery is possible when both align. Leatherbacks remain listed as vulnerable by the IUCN, and populations continue to decline in many regions. Yet the species' remarkable resilience, combined with targeted conservation, has allowed some nesting sites to stabilize. Each protected beach, each successful clutch, and each turtle safely returned to the ocean is a testament to the capacity for human action to safeguard even the most extraordinary and imperiled of oceanic creatures. The leatherback's survival now depends not only on its own adaptations, but on our shared resolve to protect the oceans and the life they sustain. Leatherback turtles are giants of an ancient design, mariners whose lineage reaches back to the age of the dinosaurs. Where other turtles armored themselves in bone, the leatherback took a different path, trading rigidity for strength and motion, endurance and depth. In the open ocean, that choice has carried it further than any other reptile on Earth. From the tropics to the edges of polar seas, leatherbacks roam vast, unseen highways of the sea, following the silent pulse of jellyfish blooms and the pull of Earth's magnetic field. They dive to depths no light can reach, glide through icy waters, and return, year after year, to the beaches where their lives began. Each journey is a reminder of how finely evolution can sculpt life to meet the challenges of its world. Yet, even the most ancient and enduring species can be brought to the edge. The leatherback's survival now depends not just on its adaptations, but on ours. Our ability to protect nesting beaches, to keep the oceans clean, and to respect the fragile connections that bind land and sea. I hope you enjoyed this journey into the world of the leatherback turtle. If this video sparked your curiosity, don't let it stop here. Share it, talk about it, and keep learning. There's still so much to discover about the world's rare and remarkable species. And the more we understand, the better our chances of protecting them. Thanks for watching.